Welcome to the Performance Formula with Jody Martins. So, Alan, officially welcome to the Performance Formula podcast. It's really, really awesome having you here.
Thank you, Julia. Appreciate that. I'm really excited actually.
Awesome. Maybe by way of just understanding who you are, give us a little background in, like short, sharp, sweet on who Alan is and what he does, and so we get a little bit clear on what this conversation with you is going to be about today.
Yeah, obviously, as you can hear, I've got a slight accent, right? So I was born and raised in south of France. I used to live on my sailing boat, right? And boat in south of France. To make a long story short, I had a calling as to myself helping people, and I went to America, living in Kansas City, Missouri, right? And I became a chiropractic physician. But practicing chiropractic, I realized that there was more into health than regular chiropractic, and I started to create my own health system, right? Healthcare system, and I specialize in the mind, the mental aspect of things, and there's so many misconceptions about the mind and what we focus on to improve our mind that I created a system called the mind clearing, right? And basically, in that system, you've got the body clearing, which is about feeling pain, symptoms, body symptoms, and also inflammation in your body. That's by reprogramming your mind. And also the goal and success clearing, which is about, making sure that, nothing is holding you back when you want to reach your goal and to be. I've been practicing for like 29 years now. Wow. September. And I still have a juice. I've got a passion of what I do because I always create things, right? And so the creativity is what preventing me to get bored or just, lose my focus. And there's no way I will retire one day. No way. It has to be something drastic that happened to me which I cannot control, like an accident, or I do have Alzheimer, whatever. But otherwise, no. Why retire, right?
Yeah. So I think that's what appealed to me when I sort of saw your profile, and when I thought it would be cool to have a conversation with you is this idea of mind clearing, like what that is. And I wasn't aware that necessarily you had the chiropractic background, and that part of that would be sort of a thing around pain that you also could address, right? Maybe like a very short about me, just so you know. I've had a long history with sort of my lower back. I hurt it when I was around 15 years old. And in that process, I've gone to physiotherapy and never felt that like physiotherapy worked. So in 2019, I hurt it again, like really bad. I could hardly walk, lots of pain. And I ended up going to a chiropractor for the first time in my life. And that helped a lot. It helped a lot.
I'm glad it helped for you.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, maybe as a starting point, somebody that is connected with things in the body, and I think the spine is critical in the body, right? Our whole nervous system runs through our spine.
Correct.
And so there's a very direct link to the brain in that sense. So somebody who has like a deeper understanding of the spine and how that all connects to the body, as well as somebody that does something like mind clearing. How does those two worlds work together? This idea of the body and the mind.
Well, you basically asking me about because I forgot to tell you that I'm a mind body expert, right? So that's really what what you're talking about. And so it's like lots of people talk about holistic care, right? And so we're going to treat you holistically. For example, if I treat your body, your mind's going to be super relaxed. I created my own technique, of course, which is an energy technique. But also, I realized that chiropractic deal only with 20% of your nervous system, which is all the nerve coming out of your spine, going everywhere in your body. It's called the peripheral nervous system. It's only 20%. of a system, right? So I say, why not 100%? So what is the other 80%? It's called the central nervous system, which is basically your brain and the spinal cord. And so I became a cranial specialist, right? And that was a game changer for my treatment too. Like that, we can have an impact of 100% of your nervous system, right? And so that was this concern only the physical, right? Because here's the thing, just to make sure that we understand each other in a way, right? I believe in the law of cause and effect, meaning for every cause there's an effect. I will say consequences for my 8 years old,
Mm.
and for every effect there's a cause, right? And so basically, that's the premise, right? It means I don't believe in chance. I believe in good timing, I believe in being, fluid with what you're doing and all that, of course, no problem, right? But the thing of the matter, from that premise, we can deduct that if you got a problem in life, it can be a high performance problem, it can be any problem, a health problem like you mentioned, right? Also, it can be a relationship problem, a prosperity problem. No matter what problem you have in life, you need to know two things in order to resolve your problem permanently. Meaning, what does it mean to resolve your problem permanently? It means I don't even think about my problem. I'm moving on. It's gone. It's behind me. Game over.
Mm.
So what are those two things, right? First thing, you need to find what's causing your problem, right? If you don't know what's causing your problem, how can you fix it? And number two, you need to know how to fix it, right? And so it seems very simple, right? But if you apply that in your life, for every choices that you make, right, you ask that simple question. Is it really the source of the root cause of my problem? For example, if I take a drugs are useful, right? For emergency room, they are saving lives, right? Now for long-term pain and stress, right, which I specialize in, right? Chronic stress, autoimmune disease, all that stuff, right? They are killing people. They are the number 3 killer in this country, according to the American Medical Association, right?
Mm.
So there's a place for everything, right? And so is taking a pill going to resolve the cause of my problem? Never, because it has never been a lack of pills or taking a pill that was causing your problem. And it sounds even silly when I say that, right? It sounds, what
Mm.
are you talking about, right? But that's the truth. So philosophically, for long-term pain and stress, they cannot heal you in a way that you move on from your problem, your health problem, at all. You're done with it. Right?
Mm.
So those are very important concepts. And what I noticed with the physical stress, doing chiropractic, right? People will get better pretty fast, actually, but after they will plateau. And in order to maintain that plateau, that benefit that they got, they still have to come to see me. And according to my belief system, we should be done with the problem. You shouldn't need more care, right, for your things, right? And so that's why that pushes me to investigate and go furthermore, doing the cranial, right, things, right, and created my own energy technique, right, to make sure that, as my best of ability, I was able to assess, the cause of the problem and address it by, knowing better how to fix it. But
Mm.
this is only for the physical stress. As a human being, like if you come to my office, I will tell you, Jody, you are, when you come and sit down, I see you with somebody who are susceptible to have physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional and mental stress, right? That's what true holistic is about.
Mm.
Right? It's not, oh, I'm going to clear your body and you feel more relaxed and you've got a mind treatment. No, because we didn't address the causes of your problem. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I had some people who after that come to see me and had some inflammation in their knees, right, and things like that, because chemical stress is inflammation. So I wanted to address that, right? I mean, I really want to help people. That's really my passion, right? And so I told my patient, if I have to be upside down to help you, I'll do it. I don't care. I'll do it. All right? And so I became like a specialist on that, right? And I will check your body. I will use a technique. It's called, maybe you're familiar with it. It's called muscle testing. And we scan literally your body. Your body will tell me, using your subconscious mind, your body will tell me what's wrong with it and what's causing the inflammation in your body. And after we've got a plan to remedy that. It can be food sensitivity, can be some infectious agent, can be some toxicity, whatever it is, right? And so I started really to have great results on that, and I did specialize on that, and I had that big practicing, like 250 patients a week and all that. So I was pleased with clinical stress, but after, well, in life, the way it is, it's like, I think we are truly trying to resolve our problem, to find solution for our problem, right? I mean, that's why we are problem solver, right? We always, and okay, it happens that I'm a doctor that is very curious and pretty creative, I think. And so I had some problem and I wanted to find solution. And after he ended up that I was pleased, I was okay. I don't mean I know everything. I don't know everything, of course, but I was pretty pleased with the physical aspect, the way I was approaching it, the chemical aspect, and of course, life will told me, hey, buddy, now you have to work on the mental and emotional aspect, and that has what has been about, right? So now you can have the holistic, like holistic approach, right? Because when you do that and you zoom out, you can see that if you've got one problem maybe in your low back, for example, the problem can be also a gut issue. Like the chemical stress, your gut may be messed up, and so the nerves that come out in your low back that give you the sensation of pain also connect to your gut or your kidney or your prostate or whatever. So by fixing the gut issue, for example, we can see that a lot. When you low back now, you don't even have to go really to get more chiropractic work, right? You can go because to release the stress in general, but not for that specific condition. And after you zoom out even more, you realize that the mind, do you think that your mind can create pain? Well, I see people every day who's got pain. And 70 to 80% of the people who's got like neck pain or low back pain, like for you, for example, they will get like full resolution within 2 treatments. Right? Because when you, like somebody like you, it's a perfect example. Because I'm sure you have tried everything, I've been everywhere, to find a solution for your problem, right? And after, subconsciously, we programming ourselves, well, man, I've been everywhere. And even like, of course, you had some results, but I'm feeling that you still have some issue with it, right? And so the thing at the matter, resolving a problem, you should have no more issue and you don't have to take anything, right? And it's not like I'm a dreamer and I'm an idealistic. It's very pragmatic. Well, you can go on my website, you will see testimonial of people, just by reprogramming their mind, the pain is gone, never came back. Like some people who had a hoarding issue in one treatment is gone, never came back. So the mind is so powerful, right? That's why I don't say I'm a body-mind, like people say, body-mind expert. I'm a mind-body expert. Because the mind, as you know, with high performance, how many percent it is? I mean, I'm asking you the question. I'm sure it depends the sport, right? But how many percent the mind, how important it is, like especially when you've got high pressure, right? When you come in that moment that is going to separate you as somebody that's like, yeah, it's pretty good, and somebody that is elite. Because basically at one point, the performance, the athletic performance are pretty similar. Some people are more gifted, but some people are less gifted and perform even better. Why? Why is that so?
Yeah. I believe the mind is 100%.
I'm with you.
because the mind is, and maybe not just the mind, the brain as well. I make a distinction between the two. Because the brain, to me, and you can happily correct me, but the way I think about it is brain is the physical organ, and the nervous system, and the functioning real thing that you can hold in your hand. The mind is that consciousness, essentially, that we have, that we carry with us, your self-talk, your inner dialogue, your awareness.
And I'm really happy that you are aware of that, because lots of people focus only on the brain. For God's sake, I wrote it's called The Brain Power Secret. I wrote a book, number one bestseller in Amazon, and basically telling you, hey, if you want to fix your brain, fix your gut first, right? Because it's your second brain, right? That's basically that book, right? But if you compare, just to, to explore a little bit what you started to say, if you compare your mind, you make the analogy of your mind and a computer. That's how I see it, right? So your brain is your hard drive. That's like you say, that's the physical part. Your software that runs your computer is your subconscious. The output of your subconscious of your software is your conscious mind, meaning who you think you are, your self-identity, right? And your behavior is reflected on the screen of life. So if you've got good program, and we're going to talk probably about that, right? If you've got good program in your software, if your software is good quality, man, you're going to love, what you see in the screen of life, right? You say, man, life is great, and I'm doing sport, I'm doing this, I'm perform, like I never thought I could, right? But if you've got not very a bad quality, I can say that, like a bad quality program, when we're going to see on your screen of life, man, life is just a sucker, nobody loves me, and whatever I tried, it never worked, and all that, you're going to be more on a victim, right? And so this is the key, I think, of a mind theory process. How can we go there? And if the mind has been programmed, maybe you say, oh my goodness, what am I going to do about that? Well, the good news, if your mind has been programmed, it can be reprogrammed, right? And that's what the mind theory is.
Yeah. I'm hearing you sort of talk about a lot of things that some people, I mean, personally, I've had experiences with this. And I think that's the only way to really know if something works is to have a personal experience with something. But if we talk things like energy, we talk things like the body testing that you referred to earlier, some people might see those things as wishy-washy or woo-woo, or because the science around it isn't as concrete or isn't as certain or as definite, because it can at times seem like it's more up to the individual's experience of it, rather that there's hard and fast, like how science likes things to be. So as somebody working in the field, right, that has the ability to work with the hard sort of and fast things of the body versus the often so, sort of, this stuff is wishy-washy. What is your sort of sense about the effectiveness, like the real effectiveness of these types of practices, that can be seen as more wishy-washy at times?
Well, what you call wishy-washy is still science now. Has been
Okay.
established by quantum physics, right? And we
Okay.
know that everything is a wave, is vibration. Our perception makes it solid, our perception makes it like different, right? I mean, you have to understand that we live in a world that we think all what we can perceive is only this. Like the other things don't exist, right? It's like, what makes it real, our conversation now, right? It's like, I can see you, I can talk to you, right? But behind the scene, it's all invisible. You've got all those frequencies going to the satellite, going everywhere, right? And it's what makes it happen. It takes feel for us. Oh, I can touch it. Okay, it's not 3D yet, right? But I definitely can see you. I can hear you. I can use some different senses, right? And so that makes it real. Because if you think practically what's going on, it's like I extend my both arms like this, and this will be all the frequency in the universe. What we can perceive is not even a fingernail. And yet, we believe that's all there is. It's like with your mind. It's like we live in a two separate worlds at the same time. So what do I mean by that? I mean, we've got the outer world, right? Which is called the conscious mind also, which is basically who you think you are, right? It's basically your self-identity, your personality, what you are aware of, basically, right? So your thoughts, your emotion, your behavior, and your action, right? It's how you perceive reality, right? And after you've got the inner world, right? We're going to call it subconscious. And that subconscious mind is totally hidden, right? It's very secretive, very mysterious. We don't really know what the heck is going on down there, right? And so that subconscious mind records everything you have been doing in your life from age 0 to now, right? Also, your skill as a podcaster, as a human being, all the skills that you are required to have, are stored in your subconscious mind. Like talking about your body, right? All the physiological aspects of your body that you don't have to think about it, that happen automatically, like your breathing, like your heartbeat, like your digestion, they are stored from, they are coming from your subconscious. So when I started to try to find a solution for my mind problem, right? I started to study the mind, what it is, what are we talking about, right? And so what I found is that pretty amazing. It's like they say, it's mind blowing, right? And so the first thing is like how powerful our subconscious mind is, because I got curious, we don't know, we really don't know what's going on down there, right? And so what I realized very soon, and you can Google that, right? And I realized that, well, right now, like, your conscious mind processes data at 11 bits per second, and your subconscious mind processes data at 11 million, almost like 11 million minus 11, right? So it's 11 million times more. So right now, we are having that conversation. In 1 second, my conscious mind is going to have 11 bits per second data, 11 bits of data. But in the same time frame, my subconscious mind is going to get 11 million data that I have no clue, that I'm not aware of. Right? Isn't it crazy?
Mm.
The things that I want to add, it's like, depends who you read it. Your conscious mind is only 5 or 10% of your mind. And your subconscious mind is therefore 90 to 95% of your mind. And yet, when we want to heal, when we want to transform ourselves, when we want to grow, when we want to have better performance, what do we focus on? Only on our conscious mind. Meaning we're using only 5 to 10% of my power. And I thought to myself, hey, why not bringing the subconscious mind to the party, right? Why not using 100% that is already there? We were conceived with that, right? And some people, after they say, oh, it's superpower. No, we always had that. And we got disconnected, right? And so, talking about the energy, what creates that energy, that physical energy that some people call chi and prana and things like that, right? And so that's your mind. Because if the two kind of, your mind also can be programmed, right? I forgot to tell you that. This is very important, right? And so you have been programmed. I've been programmed. Everybody listening to that program has been programmed. So how does it work? First of all, you have to know that you can be programmed at any time, right? But more significantly, from age 0 to 7 years old, 8 years old, depends on you read it. At 0 to 7 years old, we're like sponges, right? We're like kids, right? And so we've got even different brain waves, talking about the brain, right? And we've got beta waves, and kind of hypnotic state. So we absorb everything that is in the outside, in the outer world, right? And we think it's true, right? So we assume things. And if you assume things one time, 2 times, it becomes a program. And that program is stored in your subconscious mind, and that is running the show. So what was program are made of is from past experience that you couldn't solve, trauma that you had, like PTSD, things like that, or some other unresolved issues, right? So they are coming from the past. So it's kind of a past dictating our present and molding our future, right? So the troublemaker is our past that makes us connected from all the immense power that are existing. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how does one work with the subconscious? Because it's easy to. Well, there's a lot of people that. Well, I say a lot. I can't speak for many people, but
No, I see what you
I
mean.
would say often I work with people that aren't even that conscious about what their conscious mind is doing. And so that if we're not even aware, as you're explaining to us about the subconscious, how do we tap into that? How do we get in there, lift that lid on it so that we can see what's under that hood?
And that's a very good question. You need to speak the same language. I used to travel a lot, because I was working only 7 months a year. And the most frustration I had, JODY, with people, it's like when I met somebody that is like a cool guy like you, right? And I want to communicate, I don't speak the same language,
Mm.
right? It was very frustrating to me. And that's the same thing in my field. Because they say, oh, you need to identify your limiting, what we call the limiting belief, the negative program, right? The positive and negative program. Right? And I say, no, heck no. How do you expect using only 5 or 10% of your mind, cracking the code of 90 to 95% of your mind? I mean, good luck. That's all I have to say, right? And like you say, the most damaging negative programming or what we call limiting belief, actually you have no idea. It's not even brought up at the conscious mind. Some programming is brought up at the conscious mind because you see the same, the same sabotaging pattern, right? You say, okay, there's something wrong, right? I mean, I just want to get out of that relationship, or I'm attracting the same kind of relationship. What's wrong with me, right? That's your program, the programming that is in your life. So that who's limiting, who's negative programming that are not serving you any longer, that are controlling you.
Mm.
And so how can we change that? Well, we have to speak the same language. So now what is the language of the subconscious mind, right? Well, our subconscious mind communicates with us, right? And one of the ways they communicate with us is dreaming. What do you remember when you dream, right? What do you remember of a dream? There's always a picture of series or like a movie associated with that. I never had anybody told me, oh, you know what? I remember only the smell of my of my dream. It's not possible, right? And so that's how it works with people, right? And so now when you know that, right? And it's not like simple visualization that you do for performance, things like that. That's not going to do anything for subconscious mind. I mean, it can if you do that extensively all the time. It can just have a preparation for your mindset a little bit by changing you. And so the way you do that, I created literally a program that will delete what you don't want. Because you have to keep it simple, right? You delete what you don't want. When you've got a computer, remember we made the analogy of a computer and the mind, right? When you've got a program in your computer that doesn't work for you any longer, what are you going to do? You're going to delete the computer. You're going to go on your Play Store and download a program that works better for you. And that's step 2, right? And number 3, well, you're going to please the result that you see on your screen, right? You say, oh man, that's really working so much faster and better, and I've got all that data that I can use now to do more creative things. So step number 1 is just to delete what you don't want, to keep it very simple. Step number 3, you download instead what you want. You don't have to figure out what it is. You download what you want. And number 3, you want to make sure it's going to happen physically. It doesn't stay in your mind. You want, because that's how we learn, through our physical experience, right? We need to take action. We need to have a behavior and the action, right? And so that's it. That's it. I know it's like crazy, but you know, the moment, I remember clearly the moment that I knew that I was under something, because it took me like 3 years, and I had a breakthrough recently on that, you know, to make sure of a goal and to take things. But I knew I had a breakthrough like when I was able to take it. Because nobody in my field does that, number 1, right? Everybody told you about negative programming. Nobody dare to see, oh, wait a minute, come here, we're going to treat your pain, right? Just not even touching you, just you're going to use 90% of your mind power that you're not been using, and I'm going to give you the technology to do that. I'm going to here to customize this program to you, right? Just to guide you, and we'll see what happens. Right? 70 to 80% of the people, within 2 treatments, the pain is gone, doesn't come back. And if it comes back, we treat whatever the circumstances around it that make it come. This is like when somebody tell you like this, even when I hear myself, I say, damn, this guy is like, that's a fact. That's what happened. And so when I was able to treat pain and symptoms like this, right, I say, okay, now we go, right? Now I'm really under something, right? And again, it's always a journey, right? It's constant improving, but I'm really pleased like the way it is.
I'm loving the like simplicity of your computer analogy explanation. You know, if people are listening to this, And I imagine, I mean, there's a lot of athletes that have sort of pain and things that they have to deal with, you know, like a constant knee pain or a constant. What do you what would you recommend they do to find out? Because I had a conversation on the podcast with a guest a few weeks ago, and sort of there's some pain in my understanding that is physical, that is the nature of that pain, right? Like if you cut your skin, as an example, once the wound heals, that pain will be gone. And then there's some pain that is mental. There's some pain that as soon as you resolve it, the cause and the effect at a mental level or like a consciousness level or a subconscious level, then the pain goes away. How do you suggest people find out? And I don't know if that sort of agrees with your understanding, firstly, but if it does, how do you suggest people find out or discover if the pains that they have is a mental thing?
Okay, very good question. So I'm a natural healing doctor, right? That's
Mm,
how I call myself, like that title for different reasons, right?
mm,
But that's why I do physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional and mental.
mm,
Right? That's why you have to be complete, right?
mm,
So for example, if you've got food sensitivity, you don't know, and that creates inflammation and chronic stress on your knees or on your elbows or in your joints, right? Well, you have to treat that. I totally agree with that. Now,
mm,
what I will say from my experience, you've got different stages of pain, right? And basically, it's acute and chronic, right? So we can debate how long is acute, but basically, it's like right after when you got the injury, right? And so the body, if you've got swelling, all that, your body is going to heal itself, right? Own ability to heal yourself. So it's going to heal itself. You can help by using some cream or using some modality, and infrared, things like that, whatever. But still the body was doing it, right? Always. And after, I will say, when the pain is lasting maybe more than a week, right? And I cannot and I will know, right? But just if it's lasting more than a week, that after can become a programming, right?
mm,
What with me, usually when I've got that, and especially when after this is recurrent, right? It come back again. If I do that, oh yeah, it's my knee again. I come right?
mm.
That's coming from it. Right?
Okay.
After the mind, I said, the programming has been, well, I will have always knee pain, right? No matter what I do, right? And so that needs to be treated. So the mind is very valuable. The mind clearing is very valuable for long term. Very
Mm,
valuable. Knowing that it can be also, if you've got food sensitivity, like gluten, some dairy problem that I see quite a bit, right? That will create inflammation in your body, right? And so this needs to be taken care of. And
mm,
I would say that really, when what you want to do, you want to find out what's the root cause, right? And so it can be,
mm,
and usually when it's a long term, it's a combination of different things. That's my thing. It can be
mm,
physical and emotional and mental and chemical, right? Or it can be only two of those, right?
mm,
And for physical, I mean, usually you get into, you go to see a chiropractor, like acupuncturist, things like that, that deal with, like you say, with the energy in your body, right? It shouldn't be a problem. But after there's some resistance, it will come from the
mm,
program that your mind has been making on its own. And so that's why you always want to make sure that you treat the mind. You want to release that, because if it's not a big program, right, and or a big trauma that you have, because the trauma also can make it go into your mind, like in case of PTSD, right? If you busted your knee and the guy was a mean guy that tackled you like crazy, like in football, you're gonna have some anger towards the guy, right? And so that can become after a trauma for you, right? And then can go to your mind, and so till that trauma is released, you just um, you may have some resistance for it.
mm,
And so it's very important to do the mind. But if you understand the mind is what makes you perceive the reality the way it is. So I know it sounds like, what the heck is talking about, right? Let me give an example, right?
mm.
because I'm very pragmatic and try to put things very simple because they don't have to be complicated. I can use big words, who cares, right? So here's the thing. Let's pretend I'm in a tropical island, there's a reef, right? And I'm swimming and I'm with a friend of mine, right? And we're snorkeling and we see all those amazing fish. We've got the time of our life, right? And after we get a little bit carried away and we go a little bit further away, we pick and see the fish and all that. But suddenly we cannot see the bottom of the ocean. And I didn't know that my friend has a phobia of it. And so it's still pretty much the same environment, right? My experience is still really cool, right? I mean, I'm a fish in the water. That's really who I am, right? But this guy, right, my friend, started to losing panic attack. He may drown, right, because of that. And still, it's the same environment. I'm still enjoying it, but he's not. Why? Because of the mind. Because our fear, our limiting programming, our things that are not serving, and changing even our behavior, obviously for her, right? An action, but also our physiology, like, right? It's going to be on fight and flight and all that, and everything changes, right? And so that's an example that is pretty extreme, right? But that's so you have a mind throughout everything. And even if you don't change or don't change the environment, because I can take the example and think, oh, I hear the bad news, right? And say that her mom drowned and she was swimming and started panic, right? I need to see my mom and all that. Still the same environment, right? She was 1 second earlier, she was enjoying herself. So that's how our mind can affect our perception of reality. So now what you feel like, for example, to see the fish, she doesn't care. She doesn't see the beauty around her. So it's too much of it. And the emotion has been. Does it make sense?
Yeah. The way I'm sort of summarizing this conversation in my mind so far is if an athlete has performance problems, right? They have pains, and those pains could be physical or it could just be, pains that they're busy experiencing from their performance. Very often, and I think it comes up in these conversations quite often, but very often the athlete will look at all the things of the body. They'll go into their technical side of their game. They'll do analysis on their movements. They'll sort of really delve deep into that stuff more often than not. And I think this conversation again so far is just highlighting the fact that every individual, whether it's a team sport or a individual sport, every single person comes with their own history, their own background, their own experiences, which essentially has affected their perception and how they show up now into the sporting environment. And every single component of the mind there will dictate how that performance plays out. So if they're in an environment which they feel confident in because it's known and it's familiar, then performance will be different than if it's like high stress, high panic, unless they're familiar with a high stress panic and they love that, and if they don't love that, then they will not. Maybe they're somewhere in between. And so there's so many variables to consider. And it's the same in life. I think there's so many variables that affect our waking moments and our waking hours, and that at any point in time, anything can be set off in our mind from our past, from our history,
Yeah, but what is the common denominator? Is your program in your mind?
yeah,
That's bottom line. So of
yeah,
course everybody is different. I've learned that personally doing 29 years of helping, trying my best to help people, right? But what is the common denominator of things that we can change, like that? All that will create that domino effect, and all the things that's why I keep very general. All the things you don't like in your life, right, or you don't want in your life, can be gone, right? Because high performance is not only physical, right? You mentioned injury and things like that, of course, and the recovery of that is important. But there's injury up there too in the mind, right? And so when people, like they've got stressful environment, like in golf, or I used to play tennis, like in tennis or things like that. When and what's going to make the difference? It's truly the mind, just to stay focused, have a clarity, the focus, the confidence, the concentration necessary. You have to be able to use all your skills. There's such a thing as momentum, right? So what is momentum? It's like, whoa, you're riding the wave, right? But it's really good for you, right? You are full speed, you're full of confidence and things like that. So do I believe in momentum? Of course, it's all this, right? It's because you are confident and you are all at that certainty and you're riding that, and that's why you are the most high performance in life, right? It's when your mind is set up right. So it's basically, how do we perform at the higher level? That's very simple. You need to have your thought, your emotion, your behavior and action all aligned. For example, if I say, you know what, my performance not, I do martial arts, right? I'm almost black belt in karate, right? I started 2.5 years ago, right? I'm 53. So it's never too late. There's hope.
There's hope.
There's hope, right? I always been active in sport. I used to be a swimmer, you know. In backstroke in France, I was state champion for a while. Anyway, so I really enjoy that physicality of things, right? And so what I want to say is like, the performance is right, it's really your mind dictating, and there's no other way. And in life it's the same. So it's those limiting beliefs, you know, all what we don't want, all what, you know, makes the difference in our life. Because the matter of fact, everything is a wave. Talking about a wave, is a vibration, and this has been proven by quantum physics, right? It's like this. So in your life, you're gonna experience up and down. That's normal, right? But some people like Walt Disney, they say, oh, and they get married and be happily ever after. Heck no, it's not possible. It's just not possible, right? But that's a fantasy, right? So when you understand that you're gonna go through up and down, it's how you deal with it that makes the difference. Like in sport, you're gonna have some up and down, right? It's how you deal with it. If you deal with it with grace and ease, right? Because you can delete your programming and download a new program. Well, you know, you're gonna keep your level of performance pretty high, right? And there's always things that are limiting us we're not aware. So that's how you can get even higher level of performance, by reprogramming your mind, making sure if you are point A, you want to reach point B, basically, that between point A and B, there's no program holding you. Because, you know, we say in France, we say impossible, very presumptuously, we say impossible is not France. So, but well, my point is, when you've got that mindset that everything is possible, but truly, it's not that you are saying it, it's not that you believe in your conscious mind. You have to believe in your subconscious. You cannot have a high performance mindset without having a high subconscious performance mindset. Period. That's it. And when you understand that concept, right, and you understand that it doesn't have to be difficult, right? You don't have to do, because, you know, if you speak the same language, like I said, it's pretty easy, right? And if you use like, oh, you need to journal, you really need to feel that, you need to do a ton of affirmation and ton of visualization, I say no, because you're not speaking the same language, right? You take a iron will, right, to be able to do that and hoping for some result. And on top of that, most of the time, it's not very targeting, because they tell you, oh, you know what, you need to, not very specific, because they tell you, you know what, you need to identify your limiting beliefs. And we already talked about that. No way it's going to happen, right? You're not going to be accurate, or you're not going to even find out, because the math don't add up.
Can people do this work by themselves, or do they need an expert?
It's got to do that by themselves. Because I got some insight. I don't know how to describe you, right? But you got some insight and starting to do things out of the blue. And it was clear to me, right, that it was for everybody. Right? Now, if you're a coach, right, if you are a health professional also, and you really want to go deeper and go to the root cause of the problem, number one, I need how to fix it. Yes, you can use that for yourself and also for your client, because you will have like results that you could even dream of, right? And also, if you are a lay person, it's like when you when you download, you delete a computer program and you download it, do you need a PhD? No, right?
Mm.
And that's the same thing. You don't need a PhD on high performance, right? You don't need a PhD on health. You don't need a PhD on relationship. You don't need a PhD on mindset, the programming mindset. You just need to know how to read, right? And I think, and that's
Mm.
very clear, but for me, it's very important because what is the holy grail of healing for me? It's when you empower somebody to heal
Mm.
himself or her. There's no better thing than it. And basically, I'm just giving you the technology to, you know, go there and reprogram yourself. Even though when, like, we will be coaching for your low back, for example, I'll be there just to guide you. But you are the one who's going to send the program to that picture, right? Where you
Mm.
feel defeated or whatever it is in your low back, right? You're the one who's going to do that because that's your own picture, you know. That's how can I know? Nobody can know about your subconscious mind. You don't even know yourself about your subconscious mind. So how do you expect somebody that is a therapist, a healer, whatever, a doctor is going to know about that? There's no way. So that's going to be the picture. That your picture is your picture. They have to come from your own mind. Otherwise, it's a bunch of BS. It's not going to work. Right?
Mm. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because I think many people seek outside of themselves the answer.
Exactly.
And I
Because we
think
don't
you said that beautifully.
because we don't
Yeah.
realize how powerful we are.
Mm.
I'm gonna have a hat. It's gonna be what is it? Oh, yes, you are so powerful. And
Mm.
told us the idea that we are only 5 or 10% of our mind. We're so much more than that. We are conceived with all our things, and after things getting away, and we get disconnected. And what's getting in the way is our limiting belief. Now, if you want to broaden that up, like to the big picture, and make it even more spiritual, right? Why not, right? Because that's really what this is about in a way, right?
Mm.
To me, that's the deeper impact that you can have to free people. Your freedom is always very big, very important. And so visualize like a sun, right? And the sun is basically what you think is divine, you know, God or awareness or whatever people think what it is. And the spark of the sun creates your spirit. And this is what we call non-duality. It means like pure love. It's all pure love. There's no good and bad, you know, it's just what 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 there is and has ever been, right? And after you've got the sky, and after you've got you and me, the physical you and me, right? And some people, they've got so many clouds that they say, there's no sun. They never saw the sun. They never felt it. Right? So what are those clouds? They are your limiting beliefs. So when you start to get rid of limiting beliefs, now you can take a peek at the sun, get a glimpse of it, right? You can start to feel once in a while the warmth of the sun. And so you say, oh man, that's great. And so you start to get rid of more and more limiting beliefs, right? And what's happening now, you're getting more connected to your spirit. Right? And after, at one point, you realize that you are not only skin and bone, right? You are spirit living a human or physical life. And
Mm.
nothing can be the same in your life because you understand how powerful you are, how connected you are from that energy that the divine, right?
Mm.
And only book dealing nothing because it's truly experience.
Mm.
True knowledge is about experiencing things like
Yeah.
true knowledge. Why they take people who are alcoholic to help people who are alcoholic? Because they don't need a PhD or nothing, right? They know exactly what you're going through, right? So they can help you. They will have the right work for you, and they are very motivated because they probably have been helped by somebody that was in the same position, right?
Mm.
So that's why true knowledge is about experience, right? And so I don't need books. I just want to experience, that energy. Because if everything is vibration, everything is energy. And that's bottom line. And
Mm.
that's the problem with medicine. You see, the medicine, they separate and they think about the body and the physical things, and they will go to the brain, which is clearly all physical, right? Let me give you an example. They know already how your mind is powerful. And they know that for decades, maybe centuries, when we do double blind studies. So let's see. Let me give you an example. I've got heartburn. I don't, but let's take that. I've got heartburn. And so my wife told me, oh, you should see there's a study, right? And for free, you're going to take a pill and see if your heartburn goes away. I would never do that, but I'm going, right? And so basically, I take the pill. Damn, that works. I have no more heartburn, right? And they say, hold on, Dr. Salas. What you have is not the pill, it's sugar. So that's the placebo effect, right? And they brush it up like this. So what is the placebo effect? It means that the belief, subconscious, I can be conscious sometimes, that the pill will heal me, did the job. That's how powerful our mind are. And yet they say, oh, it's only the placebo effect. Come on, dummies. That's how the body works. That's how mind and body works. That's the best healing you can ever experience in your life. See what I mean? So we already know about that. We already know the power of life and of the power of the mind and how it can impact us. But I want to add one more thing. It's called the nocebo effect. So what is the nocebo effect? I take the pill, my heartburn gets better or not. It's not really what matters. Let's pretend it gets better. And they told me, hey, Dr. Salas, if you take that pill, you're going to have some pain in your take the pill for enough. The heartburn is gone, but I've got pain in my stomach. And they say, man, you are right. Yeah, that's causing, I raise my hand, that's causing pain in the stomach. And they say, that, so the belief that the pill will give me side effects if you have the pain, right? What does it mean in our life, right? Well, all the bad news that we are doing, all the things we have been experiencing, right, that put us down and people are little us, right, and that we have to, so all those things, all the negative, the stress of social media, that the perfect image that you have to be as a man, as a woman, and the perfect provider, and blah, 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 all that stuff is putting pressure on us. And that's where the problem. And right? Oh, if I'm not making this amount of money, I'm a nobody. I'm a loser, right? Because if you monitor, if you think that success is only about money, right? And and things like that, right? And people commit suicide because of that. I mean, that's the real thing. But usually teenager, right? We're talking about real things, right? And so imagine instead of committing suicide, they can come to see me, and we can change that programming. And that they don't have to suffer, and they don't have to go to extreme to escape, that tension, that stress, and that negativity that has been programmed from the outside. Because let's face it, our programming comes from other people, can be from our mom, our dad, or some other people, right? And also all the marketing, all that stuff, and that comes with it, all that cultural things also can be programming, right? And that's not freedom. It's so important to get rid of those programs for our quality of it. Because the ups and downs will always exist and be there, but how you deal with it, trust me, life can be cool and good. I guarantee that.
Dr. Allen, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I've enjoyed sort of the light you've shone again just on how important the mind is, not just for performance, but for everyday living. If anybody's listened to this conversation and they're interested in connecting with you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, like we said, you just, if it resonates with you, that, you have to try it. What do you have to lose, right? You spend 1 hour with me, and I will tell you like whatever you want, like if you got anxiety, if you got whatever it is, or if you got an injury, like a low back injury, or if you got whatever, right? That's something that you don't want in your life. And pain is a cool thing because when it goes away, you say, oh, man, that's really real, right? I mean, it just put things in perspective. I can see now it's just fun, right? And so if you want to try it, right? So you go to the mindclearing.com, right? And you go into contact, and you will see there's a form that appears, or you got my email. And you email me, I want to get a section and things like that. If you do that, you will get 20% off if they mention your product. Now, if you want to learn it for yourself, right? And I've got Bruce 3, the mind clearing basic. I've got the pain, symptom, and inflammation clearing. I call that the body clearing, right? And also, I've got the goal and success clearing. If you want to learn all those three, I give you 50% discount, 50% discount, and you'll be able to not only reprogram yourself, right, to get a better life, better quality of life, and get rid of what you don't want, and also you can help your loved one. Maybe you've got a kid or something like that who's got chronic pain or who's got stuff. You can do that I'll be treating kids 10, 9 years old, and they can do they can do all that. You'll be surprised what they can do. And so this is it. What I want to say is like you are so much more powerful than you're grieving. You are giving credit for yourself, right? And you feel that you have been everything, you have been everywhere and trying everything with no success. It's because they didn't find out what was causing your problem, or they don't know what to do. That's that simple. That's that simple. It's not simple. And we know by now, at the end of that podcast, how the mind is critical for your health, your relationship, and your prosperity.
Yeah, awesome. I've loved this conversation. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jody.
Cool. Have a great day.